Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Hard Count podcast. And today we're going to be going over my Week 9 NFL Power Rankings. We just finished up a very exciting Week 8 of NFL football. I can't believe it's already Week 9. Time flies in the NFL season. But let's get right into it with my 32nd team. And that's none other than the New York Jets. They've been here since Week 1. They're terrible. They're awful. I don't even know what to say anymore. They just got destroyed by the Chiefs as we expected them to. I don't have anything to say. I don't think I'm going to get any questions. The Jets are the worst team in the NFL, hands down. They've got an awful offense. They're selling. They're just in the running for Trevor Lawrence. They're at number 32. At number 31, we have the Dallas Cowboys staying at number 31. And their offense is just abysmal, and their defense is as well. I've actually considered putting them all the way down at 32, but the Jets are just that bad. Ben DiNucci has been awful for the Cowboys. He can't get anything done with an offense or with some good weapons, but the offensive line is terrible. Ben DiNucci can't get anything going. Mike McCarthy has been an awful head coach for them. Their secondary has been terrible. It's just bad for the Cowboys. This is literally a team that people had in the Super Bowl. This is a team that I had as one of the best teams in the league going into the year. Shows you how valuable Dak Prescott and a good offensive line is to an offense. Makes it go from one of the best in the NFL to one of the worst in the NFL. Just like that, Mike McCarthy has not done a good job. Speaks a lot of volumes to what Aaron Rodgers did in Green Bay. Yeah, the Cowboys suck. They're here at 31. At number 30, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars, another team that is just awful. They are certainly in the running for Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields as well. Justin Fields looked fantastic on Saturday, so definitely a guy that I would love to see go to the Jaguars. Definitely could change things because Minshew is not the answer. I liked him quite a lot, just not making the same amount of plays as he was last year. The offense is just not good. The defense is struggling. It's a team that's definitely going to need to take some time, rebuild, gather some pieces. They've got some bright spots for the future, but just not nearly enough to compete at the moment. We'll see what they can do off their bye this week against the Texans. Maybe they can get a win there. It's just not looking pretty. I think the Texans handle them, and the Jaguars are what we think they are. So, yeah, the Jaguars stay here at 30. Just not a good team. They're definitely going to be in the running for a quarterback in this upcoming draft. At number 29, we have the Washington football team staying at number 29. Another team staying put here. And we didn't get to see them play this week, but we get a matchup with the Giants in the NFC East this week. That should definitely be an interesting one. And Washington, not too much to say. They're just not a good team. I've liked what Ron Rivera is doing with that team, with the talent it has. They've put together a pretty nice performance throughout the course of the year, again, considering the talent they have there. Kyle Allen, just not your guy, but he's doing enough right now for the Washington football team to compete in some games, stay in some games, but the defense is just not good. Not enough playmakers on offense right now. They should definitely be looking forward to the draft, but I like the culture that Ron Rivera is creating, and we'll talk about that a little bit more with the team later. And culture is very important in the NFL, something that I think we can definitely look forward to the future of this Washington football team because of that. So yeah, Washington stays here at 29, but I like the direction of this team, where it's going. At number 28, we have the New York Giants. Again, staying put at 28. I kind of wanted to move them up after what we saw last night, but there's just no one to move them up above. I'm kind of buying into this defense now that Joe Judge is kind of running in this Giants team. I mean, this was a big concern going into the year. I thought it was going to be one of the worst in the NFL, but we just saw they did a great job against Tom Brady and that offense, which had been rolling over defenses beforehand, but they were making plays. They were doing what they needed to do. So I'm starting to buy into this Giants defense. I think it's definitely a defense it's not great, don't get me wrong, but it's average, about average defense. It's actually been relatively solid. So I've been impressed. I've liked what I've seen from the defense. Their offense, on the other hand, just not good. Daniel Jones is going to turn the ball over a couple times. That's going to be very costly. We know that. That's going to be a consistent issue for that offense for sure. The offensive line is awful. They can't really get the ball moving on the ground. So until the offense is fixed, it's going to be rough, but definitely a great sign to see that defense shaping up there with Joe Judge at coach, and as that was expected to be a big problem for the Giants going into the year. At number 27, we have the Denver Broncos staying put once again. Don't worry, there's going to be some movement starting after this Broncos team. I just couldn't move the Broncos above any of the teams above them. The Broncos, they looked solid, especially on offense. Drew Lock looked good. He looked great. Finally, at some point in the season, he was able to make plays down the field, not turn the ball over too many times. He did throw one interception in the course of the game, but that's not too bad. Didn't cost them the game or anything. He was able to climb back in it, and the Chargers did kind of blow it. But I definitely liked what I saw for the most part. They were able to get the ball moving on the ground. Unfortunate that Phillip Lindsay went down, but I think that this Broncos team is on an upward trend. And I know I've said this multiple times, but Drew Lock, this team's success hinges a lot on what Drew Lock can do. And if he can keep it up, if he can keep making those big throws, if he can, not turn the ball over 3 times a game, this Broncos team, I think, is in relatively good shape. Now, the defense did not play well, but it definitely played well or better in the second half of the game. So, Broncos team, just one to look out for in coming weeks. I don't think they're going to make too much noise in the AFC, but you never know. If Drew Lock keeps clicking, I think this team can click. They're 3-4. They're not out of it yet. And we see them play the Falcons next week, so if they can get a win there, definitely a statement. They move to 500, and then they're in the wild card race for the rest of the year. So, Broncos fans, definitely some positive things to look out for the Broncos. I'm not banking on it because we've seen some poor performances offensively and stuff like that in the past couple weeks. But if Drew Lock can keep it up, I can definitely see this Broncos team going places. At number 26, we have the New England Patriots dropping down 3 spots. Yikes. That's the story of this Patriots season so far. It's summed up in that one play by Cam Newton, just fumbling on the Bills territory. They're about to kick a field goal and tie the game, send it to overtime, but they fumble. It's just bad. I was hoping we get to see a bounce back, and we keep waiting for that Belichick bounce back week when they're up against the wall. They need a win, and it's just not coming, and that makes me think that the Patriots just aren't capable of it this year. And, Cam Newton, he's looked much worse than he did at the start of the year. I was looking at Cam Newton as a guy that was a top 10 caliber guy at the start of the year. He looked good. He was making a lot of big throws. He looked even better than he did arguably in Carolina. But in these past couple weeks, it's just gone downhill. And I think that somewhat has to do with the weapons. Their weapons are terrible, abysmal. I don't think many players in the NFL could make much of those weapons at all. Tom Brady might be one of those guys, but Cam Newton clearly is not. This offense is just not in a place to succeed at the moment. The defense has heavily regressed from last year. Their front seven isn't as good. Gilmore isn't as good as their number one corner. It's just a team that's been very disappointing this year, especially after what we saw those first couple weeks. I had them up in the top 5 in my power rankings. I was loving what I've seen from the Patriots, but they've just fallen apart. We've witnessed the falling apart of the Patriots the past couple weeks. They're going to miss the playoffs for the first time in 2 decades this year. Just not a good sign. I mean, at least they play the Jets this week. If they don't win that, I don't know what to say. But Patriots moved down 3 spots. I've been very disappointed by them this year. At number 25, moving down 6 spots, is the Carolina Panthers. After losing on Thursday Night Football to the Atlanta Falcons, and the Panthers really confuse me because their offense just is up and down. So is their defense. We don't know what we're going to get from them every week. And this past week, we got a very bad Panthers team, a Panthers team that is the team I more expected going into the year, the team that I ranked like 30th, 29th in my power rankings going into the year. And sometimes they look like a team that's average, about an average team that can beat all the bad teams. But, Teddy Bridgewater's fine. Their offense seems solid, but they just sometimes cannot get it done. They can't score. The weapons, the passing game just isn't there for them. So that is an issue. They do get Christian McCaffrey back. I don't think that makes much of a difference, if it makes a difference at all. I mean, obviously he's one of the best backs in the game, but Mike Davis has done a great job filling in for him. The defense, just not good. It's going to take a couple more years for the Panthers, in my opinion. They dropped down 6 spots here because, they were looking decent. They were on an upward trend. I was ready to keep moving them up. But then, right as they were doing that, they just crashed and hit a rock bottom. Got beaten pretty handily by the Falcons. So they dropped down 6 spots here. At number 24, we have the Detroit Lions dropping down 2 spots here. And the Lions let me down. They were my upset pick of the week. I had them beating the Colts, which not looking so great of a pick right now. I also had them making the playoffs, which after that game, I'm not sure if they can do. I'm not confident in them doing as much anymore. I mean, definitely a letdown week. Their defense just could not do anything against the Colts offense. And this Colts offense is not like groundbreaking either. So I thought we were finally seeing things get together with this Lions defense. It just collapsed this past week. Their offense is fine. It's going to be fine. Matthew Stafford has been, as long as he's good, the offense will be good. So I don't have too many concerns for the offense, but just as I thought the defense was turning things around, it was lit up by the Colts this past week. Definitely a disappointing game from the Lions, and I'm not sure if they can make the playoffs anymore. At number 23, we have the Houston Texans dropping down 1 spot. They were on bye. I don't really have too much to say. Definitely a disappointing team. They play the Jaguars. Hopefully they can get a win. I think they're going to. So, yeah, they didn't really they were on bye. So, yeah, not much to say. At number 22, we have the Atlanta Falcons moving up 3 spots. And they beat the Carolina Panthers, who I was just talking about. And, this Falcons offense is, again, kind of confusing to me because it's got a lot of talent. They're a high-powered offense. They throw the ball a lot. They're a scary offense. They move the ball down the field. But sometimes they show up and sometimes not as much. And, this defense has actually been relatively good, a little bit surprisingly good. They've done things they need to do to get stops. They've made some plays throughout the game that they need to make. And that's definitely a good sign for the Falcons. That's what they need to do. And so I move them up 3 spots here. I thought it was a good performance against the Panthers, one that they definitely needed. Not necessarily a statement win, but the Falcons were definitely on a downward trending path. And they just proved some people wrong. They did a good job on offense, executed on defense. They did what they needed to do to win the game. That's not something that we had seen much from the Falcons at all this year. So, yeah, the Falcons win here, and they move up 3 spots. At number 21, we have the San Francisco 49ers dropping down 13 spots. Yikes. Just not good for the 49ers. This is the most injured roster of all time. They cannot catch a break. Here is the list of injuries that the 49ers are dealing with right now. That is like an entire roster of injuries, and a team cannot succeed with that many guys going down. They just lost their quarterback, guy you never want to lose, and then you lose George Kittle, who's one of the most valuable, most versatile pieces on offense. Deebo Samuel's down. It's just a big struggle, and it's just not good. This 49ers team is in a bad situation. Kyle Shanahan is a great coach, but we will see. They play the Packers on Thursday Night Football this week. I don't think that's going to be extremely close. Yeah, just really rough for the 49ers right now. I'm sorry for 49ers fans and all the people that are injured on the 49ers. Not looking like their year. At number 20, we have the Cincinnati Bengals moving up 6 spots. definitely a convincing win over the Titans. That was what I love to see. Joe Burrow looked great. I think Joe Burrow is a borderline top 10 quarterback already in the NFL. He's making all sorts of plays behind an offensive line that cannot protect him whatsoever. We saw that one play where he was just escaping everything, makes a great play, turns it into something that most quarterbacks wouldn't have turned it into. So Joe Burrow has looked great, very accurate, especially in the short game. His deep throwing is a little bit of concern, but I think this is an offense to definitely look out for in years to come, to be honest. I mean, T. Higgins has looked fantastic for the Bengals offense. So I think this Bengals team, they're not there yet, but a lot to look forward to. They're going to have a decent to good pick, or definitely a good pick in this year's draft. They can use that to help keep developing this offense or the defense. Both are young. They're fun to watch for sure. It's going to be a team to look out for in the future. Just not ready to compete quite at the moment, but I've been very impressed with what I've seen from Joe Burrow. At number 19, we have the Minnesota Vikings moving up 5 spots here. And that was a big statement win against the Packers, their division rival. That's what we wanted to see from the Vikings. That was the Dalvin Cook show. They were just able to run all over the Packers. That's a little bit of a knock on the Packers. Not something you like to see, but I mean, definitely something good for the Vikings from the Vikings perspective. I mean, the Vikings did what they needed to do. They played some decent to good defense. That's what I like to see, because their defense had not been good through a lot of this year. And it was, absolutely a bloodbath last time that the Packers played the Vikings. The Packers just put up a ton of points. They couldn't be stopped, but the Packers struggled a little bit more because the Vikings defense was more put together. Definitely a great sign from this Vikings team. I've moved up 5 spots because they showed a lot more of what I expected going into the year. A team that dominates on the ground, is able to stem the passing game from that. Definitely a team that's able to, not a great defense, but a team that is solid on defense, and they're overcoming some of those injuries. So definitely a good sign for the Vikings. They move up 5 spots here, and they're at number 19. At number 18, we have the Cleveland Browns dropping down 1 spot. And, just not a good game. And the wind, definitely a factor. But that was a game where that was exactly what the Browns wanted. They wanted a game where they could run the ball on the ground all day long. And they just couldn't get it done. This Raiders defense definitely stepped up, but the passing game wasn't there. The running game wasn't there. They put up 6 points in the entire game. So definitely disappointing. I can't really move them down below too many of the teams below them, but just definitely not what I like to see. Baker Mayfield did not look good again, coming off one of his better games of his career. He just went back down to earth, as I expected him to. So this Browns team, definitely a disappointment. They've got a bye, but they will likely make the playoffs. So we'll see. Definitely a team to look out for their performance, because, as I said, they're probably going to end up in the playoffs in the wild card games for the AFC. So we'll see what they can do. But yeah, right now, that was definitely not a good week from the Browns, and they dropped down 1 spot. At number 17, we have the Philadelphia Eagles moving up 1 spot, and that was not a pretty game at all against the Cowboys. But look at the bigger picture. I can't move them any higher, and I can't really move them any lower. I can't move them below any of the teams I think I have below them. So right now, the Eagles, they're going to win the NFC East. To me, that's pretty certain. They're a team that's going to sneak out with a lot of close games, stay in most games. It's going to be a lot of heart attack games for the Eagles fans. That's for sure. Carson Wentz is a quarterback that's very polarizing to me, because sometimes I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and sometimes I'm like, what is this guy doing? He is just making awful decisions, not doing what he needs to be doing at quarterback for the Eagles. I definitely don't think they should bench him at all. He's a guy that you got to keep in there, but just a team that I'm not too excited about. They're going to make the playoffs. Maybe they can rattle off a couple wins if they get lucky, but yeah, the Eagles are at 17. and not too much to say about them. At number 16, we have the Las Vegas Raiders staying put at number 16. And this is a bunch of teams here. There's a lot of movement, so it's hard for me to, move a team up or move them down when there's a team that maybe needs to move up above them or we need to move down below them. The Raiders, they had a good week. They're one of those teams. They played some solid defense against the Browns, and once again, that may have had a lot to do with the wind. But I thought this was going to be a game where they just were beaten up on the ground by the Browns, and they did not let that happen. So that was definitely a good thing to see. The Raiders were able to step it up in that front seven, make some stops in the run game. So definitely great thing to see from them. Their offense is going to be good. I'm not going to judge it too much based on scoring 16 points because, again, the wind, so hard to throw in that wind, which is what the Raiders like to do. They love passing the ball, making big plays here and there. So, yeah, I like the Raiders. No reason to move them up or down this week too much, but definitely a team to look out for going forward. Maybe they can sneak in there as a wild card team in the AFC. At number 15, we have the Chicago Bears staying put here at number 15. They kept it close with the Saints. Definitely not a bad performance. I don't really see a reason to move them up or down. Their offense is definitely a concern, but we've known that through the course of the year. It's not going to be too great with Nick Foles at quarterback. I don't think they really have a starting quarterback. Nick Foles, Mitch Trubisky, I don't think it really changes too much. They're not great quarterbacks. They're going to limit the offense. That's how it's going to be for the Bears. They don't really have any other options. So their offense is not going to be good. Their defense is good. They're going to stay in most games. It's similar to what I said with the Eagles. They're going to lose in some of those games and they're going to win in some of those games. I think it's a team that definitely is about average. So I like the Bears here at number 15, staying put. They definitely were able to keep things close with the Saints, but just couldn't do enough in the end. At number 14, we have the Los Angeles Chargers, and they're also staying put here at number 14. If you'll notice through the year, more and more teams are going to be staying put because we have much larger sample sizes through the course of the year, and there's not as much reason to move teams greatly. But the Chargers, they definitely looked good for the most part until they blew it at the end. Justin Herbert is their quarterback of the future, though. He is the bright spot of this team. I know a lot of people were skeptical of him in the offseason, but he has proved a lot of those people wrong because he has looked great, a big-time throw guy. He's still going to make one of those dumb throws per game, but he can fix that. It's okay. Justin Herbert will be just fine. He is going to be a big-time throw guy. He's going to make a lot of big throws, keep the Chargers in games, and when they're down, he's going to be able to move the ball well. So I like this offense quite a bit because of Justin Herbert. I think it's only going to get better. The defense did kind of collapse there at the end against this Broncos offense, which just played pretty well, but just something you can't have happen. So Chargers, not a good loss, but I there's no reason to really move them down. There's still a lot of promise for the future for the Chargers. At number 13, moving up 7 spots here are the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are going to make the playoffs, and I'm going to say that with relative confidence because I love the culture in Miami. I'm going to make a video on this later in the week. It's going to be a gray area type video, but I love the culture in Miami. They've got a defense that's going to make plays, a defense that's good. I think it's underrated. Definitely a defense that I think is going to continue to improve. You got Brian Flores, and the culture he's created there in Miami is a winning culture. That's what a team needs. Culture over talent all day. And speaking of talent, you got a guy named Tua running the offense. And Tua is a guy that a lot of people have seen as NFL ready, one of the most NFL ready prospects ever, or in a very long time. So Tua, coming in there, he played pretty well in that first game for the Dolphins. I definitely liked what I saw. It was definitely not an easy matchup either against this Rams defense that is pretty solid, has been pretty solid through the course of the year. they were able to make plays everywhere on the field in all aspects of the game, and I think this is how this team is going to be. It's a very well-run team that I think is only going to get better through the course of the year. They're going to get guys back from injury. They're going to get Tua to improve, get more comfortable in this Dolphins offense that he only just took over 1 week ago. So I'm loving what I'm seeing from the Dolphins. I've got a lot of hope for them for the future. They move them up 7 spots here, and I predict them to go on a run and make the playoffs in the AFC. At number 12, we have the Los Angeles Rams moving down 2 spots after losing to the team we just talked about, the Dolphins. I still think the Rams are a slightly better team, though. Again, we're looking at the bigger picture here. I do have my concerns for the Rams, though. I mean, this offense is looking a little gimmicky at the moment. It's looking a little bit, how far can you go with Jared Goff as your quarterback, who is just not good? He is not going to make the plays that need to be made. And once the system kind of falls apart, he really, really struggles. Sean McVay is a great coach, obviously. Maybe he can switch things up, but defenses are definitely figuring it out. We saw that this past week with the Dolphins and Brian Flores, who's a great defensive mind, and he was able to slow down this offense for sure. The defense is good. Not too much to say about the Rams, but I think that their offense might be getting a little bit gimmicky, a little bit old at the moment. So they're moving down 2 spots here, but they stay at 12. They're still a solid team, definitely a team that's going to be competing for the playoffs. At number 11, we have the Arizona Cardinals moving up 1 spot here, and they were on bye. I don't really have too much to say. Definitely going to be a fun team going forward, one that I hope will make the playoffs, because I'd love to see what Kyler Murray and that team can do in the playoffs. And this week, we get to see a very fun matchup with them and the Dolphins, who I was just talking about. That's actually a sneaky, one of the best matchups of the week. So definitely that's one to look out for. What are we going to see from Kyler? I think he's been good this year. Not as good as many people think. Missed some throws here and there, but definitely a very fun matchup. Excited for that one. And so, yeah, the Cardinals move up 1. At number 10, we have the Colts moving up 3 spots after a big win over the Lions. That was definitely something that I did not expect. I actually picked the Lions in that game to win. I will admit that I was wrong there for sure. Rivers and that offense looked great. Definitely a good sign. They were spreading the ball out everywhere on the field. They were getting the ball going with a lot of backs. Unfortunately for Jonathan Taylor fantasy owners, not Jonathan Taylor, but the Colts cracked the top 10. Their defense is good. Unfortunately, they run into a angry Baltimore team this week. That's not a team you really want to see when you're on the upward trend, but if they can get a win there, that's a big statement for the Colts. They're definitely a team that's trending up now. They move up 3 spots here. At number 9, we have the Buffalo Bills moving up 2 spots here, and this is another example. Look at the bigger picture. I was not too impressed with what I saw from the Bills this week, but I had to move the Rams below them and the 49ers below them. So just by the luck of it, the Bills go up 2 spots. I don't really see reason to move them up or down. It's a division game. Those games are usually close between the Patriots and the Bills. I still think this Bills offense is dangerous. I would not want to see them at all in the playoffs. Josh Allen is a great quarterback. He's been very good this year. He's looked a little more shaky in the past couple weeks, but I have faith that he'll get things back. This offense will get back in the swing of things a little bit. I'm not saying it's going to get back to what we saw those first 4 weeks of the season, where they were looking like one of the best offenses in the NFL, but it can go up there for sure. But the defense remains a concern. So they move up 2 here. I think they're definitely a team that's scary, but we have to see what they can bring to the table in the next coming weeks. And in this next matchup, which is very, very big against the Seahawks, that'll tell us a lot. At number 8, we have the Tennessee Titans dropping down 1 spot here. And, not too much to say about the Titans. They blew it against the Bengals. That was not what I expected. I thought they were going to be able to manhandle the Bengals in all parts of the game, just blow them out. Definitely not a good sign, but it's the Titans. I have faith in them. They're a very well-run team. Tannehill has been great this year. Derrick Henry has been able to get the ball moving. It's still a very good team. You never want to see a loss to the Bengals like that, but still, they're a good team. they dropped down one spot because I had to move the Saints, who were at number 7, above them. As they move up 2 spots, I've stayed a little bit higher on the Saints than most people have through the course of the year. I'm glad I have, because they're getting things together. Their offense is looking better. Drew Brees is looking better. Their defense, I think, is going to get things together. So the Saints team, definitely a team to continue to watch where they're trending for the rest of the year. Are they going to be a team that's trending up, a team that's trending down? We will see. They get Michael Thomas back hopefully in the next couple of weeks. That'll definitely help out that offense. They just traded for Quan Alexander, another piece on that defense that can maybe help bring it all together, tie things all together. It's a very talented Saints defense. We just need to see it all come together. But yeah, the Saints, they move up 2 spots. Definitely a nice, solid win against the Bears. Didn't blow me away, but a team that I think is slowly on the uprise. They move up 2 spots. At number 6, we have the Green Bay Packers staying at number 6. Not a good win. Not a good loss to the Vikings at all. You never want to see a loss to a division rival like that, but the Packers are better. The Packers are a better team than the Vikings. That is going to happen most of the time. The offense is still one of the best in the NFL. I love Aaron Rodgers, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Devontae Adams, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Their passing game is elite. They can make big plays all over the field. So their offense is very, very good. No concerns there. Their defense was run all over, which was a big concern going into the year. We'll see if that can keep up. Maybe some teams really take advantage of that. It's definitely a concern if the 49ers this week run over this Packers defense. I'm not expecting that to happen. We got to see them play Thursday night, though. That loss to the Vikings, not a good thing. You never want to see that. But they're a better team. They will be just fine. The Packers stay here at 6. At number 5, we have the Seattle Seahawks staying put at number 5. And Russell Wilson for MVP, as DK Metcalf said, is back on the tracks. They got a good win here. It didn't blow me away or anything, but it was definitely a solid performance against the 49ers. Russell Wilson's great. DK Metcalf is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, no doubt about it at this point. The defense is just terrible. It's definitely concerning against the better teams in the NFL at the moment. What are we going to see from this defense, and can this offense really save them every single time? But at the moment, this offense is scary. It's kind of like a pick your poison. Who's going to get 150 and 2 touchdowns? Is it either Tyler Lockett or DK Metcalf? You never know what it is going to be that week. And this past week it was DK Metcalf. The week before it was Tyler Lockett. So very scary offense, not a scary defense. The Seahawks are very good. I think they're sizably better than the Packers. So the Seahawks stay here at number 5. At number 4, dropping down 1 spot, are the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And, I was hoping to see a little bit more on that Monday night game. They should not have been in it. The Giants should not have been in that game. There was a reason that line was 12.5 at closing. Just not a good thing to see. The offense was able to be shut down a little bit. They do get Antonio Brown this week. A lot of excitement for that. We get to see that against the Saints. Should be a lot of fun. One of the best wide receivers of the decade there in Antonio Brown. They're adding to this already loaded offense. The defense is one of the best in the NFL as well. But it was definitely concerning to see them kind of get shut down, letting the Giants stay in that game. It was arguable whether or not that was pass interference. I'm not saying it was or it wasn't, but definitely an arguable call. And if they tied it up, it would have gone into overtime, and the Bucs could have lost that game. So definitely a thing to look out for. Not too concerned about it, though. Still one of the best teams in the NFL. They're at number 4. And just throw it up there. My number 2 and my number 3 teams. That's right. You are reading that right. I have got the Baltimore Ravens above the Pittsburgh Steelers after Steelers just beat the Ravens. How is that possible, you may be asking? You probably are asking. Well, if you know me, my rankings, these rankings are not based on resume or what their record is or who they have beaten or who they have lost to. I've made that clear many times. I kept the Bills over the Titans. Even after the Titans beat up on the Bills. It's a list of how good teams actually are, what I'm going to get from these teams next week, what I'm going to get from them in weeks to come. So the team that is better, a team that I have more confidence in going forward, is the Baltimore Ravens. I find it hard to believe that you could watch that game and come out of it with confidence saying that the Steelers are a better team than the Ravens. Sure, they got the win, and hats off to the Steelers for that. They will likely win the AFC North, which is a big thing. They're going to be getting a home playoff game. They're likely going to get, or maybe can get that bye week in the AFC, but the Ravens dominated the Steelers in every aspect of the game. They were able to move the ball on the ground at will. Their defense held the Steelers to 4.6 yards per play. They made Ben really uncomfortable for most of the game, and that was the only time in NFL history that a team has run for over 200 yards and outpassed the other team and lost the game. The Ravens were the much better team in that game overall, and they made some mistakes. They turned the ball over 5 times. That's awful, something you never want to do as a team, and something that will lose you games. I'm not giving them a pass for that. That is what lost them the game. But once again, I'm not just looking at what we just saw this past game. I'm not ignoring that. But I don't think it's too much of a concern. I'm looking at the bigger picture for both teams. And I just made a video telling you guys why Lamar Jackson is better than he was last season. I stick by that. And, Lamar Jackson is not a guy that's going to turn the ball over. I don't have a concern that turnovers are going to become an issue with Lamar Jackson. It hasn't been an issue his whole career, and it's not going to become one. The same thing with Russell Wilson just a couple weeks ago. He threw 3 interceptions, cost them the game against the Cardinals. Not good, but it was clear. The Seahawks are still a better team than the Cardinals. So, of course, it caused them to lose, but I'm not expecting Russell Wilson to throw 3 turnovers every week, and I'm not expecting that from Lamar Jackson either. So really, I took more positive from that game in terms of the Ravens offense than I did negative, because one of my comments and concerns through the first 5 weeks of the season for the Ravens was their run game. It had been far less efficient than last season, where it was the most efficient in the NFL by far. And this game, they just averaged 7 yards per carry against the second best rush defense in the NFL, and they completely dominated the line. That is what I love to see from the Ravens this week. And, also J.K. Dobbins should definitely be the lead back in Baltimore. He played great, but I have no worries about Lamar Jackson. He's the same player as he was last year, maybe even better. And the Ravens offense in that game looked exactly how it did last year. The same team that was punishing you on the ground. And that was the offense that it wasn't looking like those first couple weeks of the season. So definitely a good sign for the Ravens. So no reason to really drop them down. I liked what I saw in a lot of aspects for the Ravens. Obviously they lost some guys, but we'll see how that affects them. But I liked a lot of what I saw from the Ravens. And obviously the Steelers are a very good team. Do not get me wrong. They're number 3 on this list. And the fact that they came to Baltimore and won when the Ravens were off a bye is huge, a big win for them. And, but that game shouldn't have been close. The Ravens are a better team than the Steelers going forward. So you guys can flame me in the comments, say whatever you want to say, but that is my reasoning for the Ravens being ahead of the Steelers. Hate me all you want to, but Ravens at 2, Steelers at 3. That's how it is at the moment. At number 1, no question. To me, the Chiefs are a tier above every team in the NFL. I mean, it's the Chiefs. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Le'Veon Bell. One of the best, a very, very good offensive line. A defense that steps up in the big moments. They are by far the best team in the NFL. I have no other thing to say there for the Chiefs. They are so good. They are probably going to win the Super Bowl. So yeah, the Chiefs stay here at 1. No debate for me. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. Hope you enjoyed. I know there were some bold takes in there, particularly Ravens above Steelers. I know some people might hate me, but comment your opinions. I'm sure you're going to have a lot of them. So yeah, thanks so much for listening. Until next time, peace.